YouTubers, happy Homebrew Wednesday. So, this Homebrew Wednesday is going to be first a little tasting of my Pilsner, which you just saw me pouring. Some nice background music behind it. So there's a touch of chill haze with my Pilsner, but overall, as hopefully you can see in the camera, it's pretty crystal clear without any binding agents, just gradual cold crashing and using a hop bag at the bottom of the auto siphon to siphon when I was transferring it to the keg. So overall, with most ales, I wouldn't care as much about clarity, but for the Pilsner style and all the lagers, you want it to be clear and nice, crisp looking. So with this nice Sam Adams glass, which is really good for lagers because it was made for Boston Lager, it keeps a nice head on the beer and keeping my beer looking nice and crystal clear. Now, in terms of a Pilsner, it's a little on the darker side. Bohemian, it is in the range for a Bohemian Pilsner, and I did use the Bohemian yeast, but if you were to look at it in most light, even though this isn't the brightest light here in my kitchen, it's a little on the darker side, but overall, it's a pretty nice looking beer. It looks like a nice crisp lager. So, in terms of aroma, it definitely has a little bit of added sweetness. When I first tasted it on a Homebrew Wednesday, it was from the bottle, the non-lagered version. That was a very overt Munich, like German specialty malt sweetness that you would get in like an Oktoberfest or a Munich lager, or a Vienna lager for that matter, because they use a little bit of Vienna. But this, in the lagered version, it has some of that, but it's very balanced with those Sapphire and Spalt Select hops. It's very not, you don't smell and automatically think a totally different style. It's very nice and balanced. Not too bitter. It's not as crisp smelling as grassy with all that Saaz or Tettnang or Hallertau hop that you would get in a typical Pilsner, Czech or German, but overall it has, it's very balanced, and it's just a little bit more complex for, an aroma for a Pilsner, which usually be a little bit more just like crisp and to the point, very, refreshing smelling. This one smells a little more complex, so it's good for the taste. Now what saves it in the taste is that what brings everything full circle in the taste is that it's a very smooth beer, a little more hoppy than a typical Pilsner, so it does dry out and have a nice, clean Pilsner malt finish to it with each sip. But again, at the front is a nice, smooth, definitely refreshing hop flavor with a nice tinge of a nice amount of balancing malt sweetness, which definitely keeps me coming back for the next sip. So overall, while I might even cut out the Munich next time I brew this, I'm definitely extremely happy with how my first Pilsner, especially my first keg Pilsner, came out. Now I don't have a bottle of the Pivo Pils, which I was inspired this beer right now. It's definitely pretty close, and I'm definitely going to be sending some bottles to Matt Brindleton, who's the brewmaster there, to try and get his feedback and see what he thinks I could improve or what I did well with this beer. So for this week's Homebrew Wednesday, I have two contests that I have to address before I get into the second half of the Homebrew Wednesday. The first is the 300 subscriber contest, and I believe I got 18 comments on the video, and I went on random.org, one of those random generator sites, and Corey from the Iowa Carver channel won. So Corey, I know you watch all my Homebrew Wednesdays because you always like to comment. So you won. I'm really glad you won, so I can send you a couple of my brews, and maybe probably a couple local New York beers that you might not be able to get in your area, and maybe some other swag that I have lying around the apartment. So congratulations, Corey, and just message me on Facebook or on YouTube your address, and I'll get you the stuff as soon as possible. Then for another contest, I was able to acquire 2 extra copies, 1 copy each extra of Charlie Papazian's 2 newest books, The Complete Joy of Homebrewing, Volume 4, or 4th edition, I should say, and The Homebrewer's Companion. So those 2, along with the water book from John Palmer, which is signed, are going to become a one big contest. And I'm close to, deciding on the exact parameters, terms, whatever you want to call them, for the contest, but I haven't decided yet. I'm going to talk to Charlie Papazian when I interview him and see what he thinks I should do. So, but there is a contest coming up for 3 autographed books by 2 homebrewing pioneers, role models, icons, all wrapped in one great prize. So it'd be awesome. So look forward to that. Now the second half, which hopefully won't take too long, for this Homebrew Wednesday, wanted to talk about counter pressure filling bottles. I'm not going to do the growler now just because I decided that to bring the bottle shares, bringing bottles is better, just because if you have a big growler and you don't finish it, you're stuck with pretty much flat beer. So I also want to give people the most carbonated samples possible. So what I have here is a piece of a racking cane from a broken auto siphon, and I sawed it off with a small saw, and I cut a little bit off the bottom, and I have a small bung here that could fit into into the top of a bottle. So, and I put this in my picnic tap. So I'm going to go ahead, get this rigged up, and show you me bottling a couple bottles of, a 22 ounce or maybe a 12 ounce, and just show you how I do it, so that if you keg, you could use this method, and which is also known as a poor man's beer gun. You could do it yourself, and easily keep bottles carved, and bottle them with a nice amount of carbonation, I should say. So cheers, and I'll see you in a few. Here the idea is the first little bit that's going to come out is going to be foam, so you want to put that into a glass, which I've already done. But then you want to push the racking can as close to the bottom of your bottle, hopefully a chilled and sanitized bottle, and then start filling it. And you want to set your PSI to somewhere between 3 and 6. So right now mine's closer to 6, which is a little higher than I'd want to. And you also need to continuously burp the bottle, or loosen the bung a little bit to release some of the back pressure. When you get towards the top, you want to pull it out so you know you're capping on foam. It doesn't need to overflow like mine is now, but it's going to take a cap, a sanitized cap, and cap the bottle on the foam. And that's why I have paper towels out here to catch it. So here we have a 12 ouncer, and same logic, the less back pressure you have, and the more you burp it enough as you bottle, the faster the bottle will fill. Found that with that first 22 that I showed you, it was going slower because there was too much back pressure being built up inside the bottle. The second 22 actually went much quicker. So when you see it slowing down a bit or backing up through the racking cane, you wanna make sure to burp it. But this 12-ounce bottle is going to be one of the ones that I'm sending to Firestone Walker to Matt Brindleton, to try to see what he thinks of this Peeble Pils inspired Pilsner. And the same thing when you get towards the top, you want to make sure that you cap on foam. For this, I'm going to take, of course, one of my custom caps and cap the bottle. And on this one, I got the fill line right up to there, so it's pretty nice and high, bottled from a keg, so and nice and cold. I'm going to put it right back in the fridge, or my keys, or whichever I have room in, so it can be ready to be labeled, dried off and labeled when I print out the labels to send it off to Paso Robles.